Okay, the idea behind this little talkative podcast, which only allows me to do 10 minutes, thank God, because I'm not as good as Jim Cornette, and I'm not half as engaging when talking about pro wrestling. One thing I think that could be interesting for pro wrestling is that pro wrestling should have a Legends title. I know that there was a Legends title in TNA, but God bless Booker T, it really didn't do him any justice. He was a great talent. I saw TNA being taped live when I went to Orlando. The ring was too small for a guy of his ability. Same thing for Kevin Nash. But that aside, these guys have now been put in the Hall of Fame. Potentially they can still go. We've seen Booker T had a feud with Cody Rhodes a few years back. He can still go and on. But what I'm saying is we should set certain rules in place. The idea behind this is that there's a certain element of nostalgia behind it, and that's really what is driving WWE's product at the moment, but it's driving all of wrestling's product. I mean, it doesn't matter what organisation you are. I think it's safe to say that, if you've got a legend of the business, whether they be, as much as Mr. Cornette may hate me saying this, an ECW legend or, a Memphis legend like Jerry Lawler, who, despite his heart problems, is still doing the odd match here and there. If they had a 20-25 minute period and you had the Cauliflower Alley Club be involved, I'm just looking this up online because I saw just a little bit more prestigious, whether it just being WWE Hall of Famers. What it can do is give those wrestlers that have fallen upon hard times, like your Tony Atlases, who probably could go for 15 to 20 minutes in a ring. You can fill you in the background. They don't, fill you in their background, and it can give them a secondary income to their career, and it can prolong their career, and it keeps them in the limelight, and it makes them relevant. And not only does it make them relevant to the fans, which is the most important thing, one thing that we're missing out now with wrestlers is the fact that they, quite frankly, they don't know their wrestling history too well. And, that is terrible. To think that, we've got just this year in 2016 alone, we've got Kurt Angle being announced for the Hall of Fame. And, what he's done for wrestling has been phenomenal. Not just winning the gold medal, bad news, Alan winning the judo gold medal in the Olympics as well, and transferring that across to wrestling. Del Rio being a judo expert, all the rest of it. It's not so much about mixing the martial arts here, it's that these people have actually achieved, maybe in some cases things in other field, but look at the Iron Sheik, he trained American athletes to go compete in the Olympic Games when he left Iran, and achieved a lot of things in the WWE. And he probably could have had a bigger second or third or fourth run if there had been a Legends title that existed. And it would have probably, maybe not, kept him on the straight and narrow. But this is the thing, does the Legends title have to be exclusively for WWE? If the Cauliflower Alley Club is behind it, then it's like, okay, well, can we have, somebody, can we have someone who's not in the WWE Hall of Fame, someone who's in our Hall of Fame? So, for example, Jake is in the WWE Hall of Fame, but Jake the Snake, or, Vader, they're the most prestigious, one of the most prestigious clubs around. And I think, to be honest, someone like Mr. Cornette, I know he wouldn't want to work for WWE, but if this was a separate thing, it would be good for the network, because fans can go and look up those matches, look up these guys in their prime and go, wow. And also still be entertained by them now. So having, a Legends Wrestling League, so to speak, if they're going to give you a British WWE title and they're going to give you a Cruiserweight WWE title, and they're going to bring in all these different, there's SmackDown's Women's Championship and a Raw Women's Championship and a Universal Championship. It's crazy. But what's quite good on the other hand is it doesn't mean that, stars like The Rock necessarily have to walk back in to a big event like WrestleMania and claim the WWE title. That could still happen. That would be great. But wouldn't it be great to see, like we saw a few years back, leading up to WrestleMania 30, all the legends coming out, like Sid Justice, they're all taking on Heath Slater and kicking his ass, and he was a human bump machine for it. But the beautiful thing about that was, when the fans were chanting, "You still got it," it's a sign of respect. And, when Sid went out there, man, he still did have it. Vader still had it. I saw Jim Neidhart. Yeah, they might be a bit plump around the edges, but they still had it. Ricky the Dragon Steamboat still got it. Ron Simmons still got it to a degree. They don't have to be in, majorly, tremendously fit to do, these matches. Because if they're only 20, 25 minutes long, I know that's a long ask. But by the time, you imagine Flair, you've got him doing his psychological tricks. These guys know a lot of ways to elongate a match out and not stink the place out. As where WWE, can just stink the place out with two newcomers, and it's not stopping the newcomers. It's just, maybe one or two matches on, one match on SmackDown, one match on Raw, and maybe a couple of miniature matches on the network. And this allows fans, old fans and new fans, to go meet legends, to see what they were about, to look them up, and also future wrestlers coming through to get that historical grounding that they need as wrestlers to say, okay, like, for example, Kevin Owens doing stupid. I'm sure he knows he owes a lot to the Big Boss Man and Bam Bam Bigelow and a lot of the big guys that could really, really move, like Yokozuna, they really moved, mate. Viscera, boy, could he move, for a big guy. The fighters that we're seeing now, the wrestlers that we're seeing now coming through, the athletes that we're seeing now are an amalgamation of not just your Shawn Michaels, but your Tito Santanas, your Big Boss Mans, your Undertakers, in the case of Finn Balor. But, you're seeing, Mr. Perfect, for example, that's one legacy that just seems to keep going and going and going on. People want to replicate that style, but I think that, to be honest with you, there's so, I saw the Honky Tonk Man wrestle a couple of years ago, like I said, in my hometown, and he could still go with, not the greatest talent, but at the end of the day, I'd still want to see Ric Flair in the ring, for as long as he wants to be in a ring. I don't think it's up for the WWE to decide when wrestlers should not be in a ring if there's not something really bad with their health. But to see Jerry Lawler in the ring would be good again. To see him win something would be good. To see those superstars that maybe didn't get the recognition, that have gone into colour commentating, come out and take part in this little event, these little events, would be amazing for the fans. It would be a great piece of nostalgia, be a great piece of entertainment, and it would be a great way of keeping a wrestling product, whether that's WWE, whether that's TNA, whether that's Ring of Honor, whatever. ECW did it with Terry Funk, and they got away with that for a while, and they did it with a lot of old timers. But point being is that it's a great way to keep your company going. So what do you reckon? Legends title for 25 minutes? Yes or no? How do you feel about the Legends competing again? Let me know. Press like and subscribe.